Hi and welcome to the video training of Node JS. In today's video training, we will be learning about web scraping with Node JS. We will be using Puppeteer node library for web scraping and other stuff. Puppeteer is a node library which provides a high-level API to control Chrome or Chromium over the DevTools Protocol. Puppeteer runs headless by default, but can be configured to run, that is non-headless, Chrome or Chromium. What can you do with Puppeteer? Most things that you can do manually in the browser can be done using Puppeteer. Here are a few examples to get you started. Generate screenshots and PDFs of pages, crawl a SPA, that is single page application, and generate pre-rendered content, that is SSR, server-side rendering. Automate form submission, UI testing, keyboard input, etc. Create an up-to-date automated testing environment. Run your test directly in the latest version of Chrome using the latest JavaScript and browser features. Capture a timeline trace of your site to help diagnose performance issues. Test Chrome extensions. If you want to give it a spin, you can visit try-puppeteer.appspot.com. So let's get started. To use Puppeteer in your project, you need to first install Puppeteer in your project. Before we get started, you need to create a project directory. I have already created that and I have named it Node Web Scraping. And after you have created the project directory, you need to create a skeleton of package.json, which you can do by running npm init function. I have already done that and I have that package.json file with me. And after that, I installed Puppeteer using the command npm I for install and Puppeteer, and that's it. You will press enter. The npm will start downloading the recent version of Chromium browser. Because Puppeteer requires Chromium for its execution and doing scraping, either headless or without headless. So in the screenshot on this the screenshot below, you can see when I installed Puppeteer, it downloaded Chromium release 8.4 and it was 138.2 megabytes. So I skipped that step of installing and showing you to shorten this video training lecture instead of doing the configuration and installation. So you can do it on your own. If you get stuck, you can always contact me and I'll be more than happy to help you. Okay, let's go to drill 1. In this drill, we will be navigating to yahoo.com and saving a screenshot as example.png or yahoo.png. Okay, so save file as screenshot.js, and before that, let's create this file. Within your project directory, create the file screenshot.js. Require Puppeteer. Okay. We are going to do this stuff in the async block. The first step is to create the browser object by calling puppeteer.launch function. The second step is to create a page, the browser, by calling the new page function of the Puppeteer object. The third step is to go to the URL that we want to take a screenshot of. So type in yahoo.com. The next step is to take a screenshot of and save it into a PNG file. And the last and final step is to close the browser object. Okay, that is all. It is a very straightforward and simple library, and you can easily implement it at your own end, and you can use it in your application. So let's save this file. Let's go to the console and let's run the screenshot.js file. Okay, we need to add brackets at the end so the function is complete. Now if we go to the console and we run node screenshot.js. Okay, now let's go to the console and run our first drill. Node screenshot.js, press enter. Okay, we are back at the prompt. So if you see the directory contents, you will see that we have the file yahoo.png. Let's go into that folder and the file is there. So let's double click and you can see we have the home page of Yahoo. It's a very clear and nice sharp picture. So that's how you can grab screenshot of any URL you want using the Puppeteer library. Okay, let's move on to our drill number 2. We are going to create a PDF from a URL and save this file as create PDF from url.js. The whole code will stay same, so I'm just going to save the current file as create PDF from url.js. Create PDF from url.js. So I have the same file. There are minor tweaks that I'm going to do within this file. Sorry, I misspelled it. There's a L at the end as well. Okay, what changes we do need in this? We need to add the page name and wait until network idle 2. Okay, here we can add an option, wait until network idle 2. Okay, and then we don't need the screenshot thing, we need the PDF function. So page.pdf, and we are going to pass some parameters. The name of the PDF file we want to create, you can name it yahoo.pdf, and you can specify the format of the PDF file. I'm going to specify it as A4 page. Okay, so that is all. Just save the file and let's run this in the console. So we have the create PDF from url.js. Let's run it. It takes some time, a little bit of time, because it's opening the browser in the backend and behind the scene fetching the URL and then converting it into the PDF file. So now we have yahoo.pdf. If you go to the project directory, you can see we have yahoo.pdf. If you open it, you can see we have the whole most of the Yahoo website page as a PDF. So this is a very interesting and useful feature of Puppeteer. Okay, let's move on to drill number 3. In this drill, we are going to get a source code of a URL passed by user as an argument from command line. So let's name this file as scrapcontent.js. Just save this file again, scrapcontent.js. Okay. So in this file, we are going to grab the argument, and we need the file system as well. So fs require fs and const URL. We are going to grab that from process argv and the argument passed from the command line. Afterwards, we are going to create a function run that is an async function. Async function run. Okay, we need this here. Okay, we need this new page. Okay, we need new page, and in the new launch we can pass some settings like headless equals true and arguments no sandbox and disable set UID sandbox, and that's for the option settings. After that, we created the page, new page, and now we need to go to that URL. So we already have that code from the previous drill. Just copy it here and just replace the URL with the URL variable that is coming from line number 4, and that is coming from the argument from the CLI. Okay, and then we need the variable HTML, which we will be getting from page.content function. And now we are going to save our HTML in a file. So fs.write file, and we pass in the HTML file name that we are going to write, the HTML content that we fetched, grabbed from the Puppeteer, and here we are going to console.log HTML saved, and the last line is to close the browser object. This is very important, and that's about it. And at the end we call the run function. We don't need all this in this drill. So let's save the file and let's go to the console, and I'm going to run node scrapcontent.js. Okay, let's run this program, and for debugging I console.log the URL we are getting from the argument parameter from CLI, and I changed the network idle setting from 2 to 0. So do this at your end as well. So, and I'm going to fetch the contents of google.com, and it printed google.com. So we are fetching the content, the source URL of, so HTML saved. Let's see the listing, and we have page.html. so go to the directory and you can see page.html here as well. And if you open this, so open this with Sublime, and we have the source code of google.com. if you go to google.com and if you can press Ctrl U, you will see the source code. This is the same as fetched by our script scrapcontent.js. The next step is tracing and profiling a web page for analysis. For this, we need to use the tracing.start and tracing.stop function of the page object. Now let's go and copy this as tracing.js, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add page.tracing.start right after the new page. So await page.tracing.start, and we are going to pass in the name of JSON file we want to create, trace.json. Okay, that's it. Or we can concat here the URL as well. For the now let's leave it, so no issues, because we need to parse https :// etc. Okay, that is the tracing, and then we go to the page, and now we need to stop the tracing. Page.tracing.stop, that's it, and we need to close the browser here. That's all. Save the file, go to the console and run tracing.js file. What, those are errors again. Okay, we forgot to pass the URL we want to fetch, so pass the argument right after tracing.js, the URL which you want to trace. So if we see the contents of the file, we have trace.json file now. So if you go to the browser, you can see we have the trace.json file. Okay, this is very good for doing analysis. So if you open the Chrome browser and you go to tracing, here you can load that JSON file that is created by the Puppeteer library in drill 4, and this is the trace.json, and now it is being imported, and here you can see all the data that has been collected by the Puppeteer library. This is very good for doing analysis about the page loading, resource allocation, resource usage of your CPU and stuff. So you can do a lot of interesting things with Puppeteer library. For example, automate web flows and integrations, scrap content from sites at regular intervals, for example comparing latest offers, product prices, etc. Verify site or service is up and running using HTTP response. Apart from this, if you go to the Puppeteer library homepage, then you explore it a bit, you can see there are a lot of stuff. You can do keyboard events, for example hello world, arrow left, shift, etc, etc. And then you can automate mouse events. You can click at a specific pixel with the mouse events, and that is very helpful when you want to recreate user experience. There is also a touch screen method as well, which you can use for mocking app users. Then there is a tracing class that we already use. Then there's a file chooser class. It is used for uploading files. If you are writing a automated script that involves uploading a file from user end, you can use file chooser. Then there is a dialog class, there is a console message class, there is a frame class, and there are a lot of stuff that you can explore at your end and do experiments. This is a very interesting and important class. So if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If you need professional help, you can email me at umehmood@gmail.com, my Facebook page or LinkedIn profile. I'll be more than happy to help you. You can download the source code of this project from GitHub repository. See you next time with a new topic in Node.js.